Hi, I'm Joe Jacobson at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. It's been a busy week since we last spoke. There's been 2 games to speak of. The win at MK Dons, hooray! The defeat at home to Cambridge, and also a showbiz premiere to attend. It's not Halloween yet. It nearly is, actually. Or Panto. But we'll be hearing from Adebayo Akinfenwa a bit later on as well, who we caught up with at the double screening of Beast Mode on yesterday at Wycombe Swan, which we attended as well. We'll get the thoughts of the general public who saw it too. We'll get their thoughts, as I say. We'll catch up with manager Gareth Ainsworth, who did his press session today at Adams Park after a business networking event. I know. Told you there was lots going on. And also this hour we'll hear from a former Wycombe Wanderers player, Danny Sender, who featured on our coverage on Tuesday night with Phil, and also we'll be catching up with a former Wanderers manager as well. Paul Bence shares his memories of his time in charge in the early 80s and reflects a bit on his own playing career as well, and also talks to us about some of the key players that he brought to the club, including a certain Mark West after taking over from Mike Keane as well. So lots to bring you, and we'll reflect on how Wycombe Wanderers women have got on this week as well. They were in Women's FA Cup action this past Sunday, and also they'll be back in league action very soon as well. So we'll be bringing you news on that, and look ahead to the Family Day as well on Saturday at Adams Park, where Morecambe are the visitors. We're in a bit of a run of home games, of course, starting with that game against Cambridge on Tuesday night. All that and possibly more to come as well in the next hour here on Wycombe Sound. It's the Wycombe Wanderers Show here every week, well, certainly during the football season anyway. And also this season, Series 3 as we call it, we've been catching up with Phil for our match debrief, that's what it's actually called. And we've got lots to reflect on this week. We'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth, as I say, speaking after that game against Cambridge United at Adams Park on Tuesday. But we start last Saturday with a win as well. This one against MK Dons, of course, after quite a run of wins as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant to go to MK and get the win because county rivals, etc. A bit of recent history with the playoffs. So yeah, to get a win there and send them bottom of the table as it was, then was quite sweet for Wycombe Wanderers. I think mainly the 3 points was what was after, but both sides have made bad starts to the season. MK Dons in particular, Wycombe, I think the needle's pointing up now, which is good. But yeah, it was a good result to get. The only down point was it was only 1-0, and it really should have been more.
And speaking to Gareth ahead of the game as well, there's a real sense, isn't there, that sort of injured players coming back and things are starting to sort of come together.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think it's built from the back as well, with Alfie Mawson playing every week now, every game. Max Striek's been brilliant, so the foundations are solid, and Sam Vokes is getting sharper, which is fantastic, and nearing full match fitness, I would say, having seen him now twice this week. So yeah, injured players on the way back too, but the squad's decent, so they should be picking these points up now.
And goals starting to come from other areas as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know it's nice for Nick Freeman to get on the score sheet as well in a big game, and it was a great goal for him as well. And that's a story that just gets better and better the more games he plays.
And there's something really nice as well, isn't there, about an away win, and especially against a sort of county rival, as you say. Yeah,
it was a really good turnout for the Wycombe fans, and it was a tough game because of the train issues. No strikes, so the trains were running, but then there were issues, I think, with signals coming out of Euston, so a lot of Wycombe fans were late or had a struggle to get there, or had to get taxis from central London, which wouldn't have been easy or cheap. So yeah, a lot of people going the extra mile, quite literally, on Saturday to get there in what is normally a fairly local game for us. So but yeah, always good to beat the local neighbours.
So what pleased you most about the performance?
I think defensively resolute. I don't think MK Dons tested them too much, but when they threw bits and pieces at Max at the end of the game, because it was still 1-0, and I think Max is looking like a really, really good acquisition. He makes really good saves, quite simply. Nothing overly spectacular. That's because I think his positional sense is bang on. So yeah, he looks to have been a really exciting signing. So that was a really good plus point. And yeah, I think, you know, we created chances. The downside being we didn't take them all, but I'd rather it was that way round, really, and that they were creating stuff, because hopefully they can sharpen up in the next few games and put a few teams away.
I think we said when we've spoken before, but I've heard from fans as well who are so impressed with the way Max has settled in, and that must be quite hard for a goalkeeper as well.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's an unforgiving position, but you stood next to the fans as well, which helps. So you can build up that bond. He seems like a great character. He's got a bit of a glint in his eye, as I've said before. I think he's going to be one to watch, and we'll see what he does this year. The more we get to know him, there'll be more interviews to come, no doubt, and we'll find out a bit more. I'm yet to meet his massive dog. I can't report any more news on that. I'm still alive, so that's one good bonus of that, I think. So.
Have you done anything towards helping him find a place to live as well?
I believe he's settled now in the area. I don't know where, but I believe he has found somewhere to live. More importantly, he's found somewhere to live where his dog can also live with him as well.
It's real insight we're getting here, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what.
Have any other players approached you with any sort of requests or requirements that you?
I don't know. Maybe like Gareth McCleary has a sort of a troublesome parakeet or something. I'm not sure if he does, but we're here to help. That's what we do here at the club.
I think Gareth McCleary's troublesome parakeet could be a real chant on the terraces soon.
Yeah, I think I saw them play at the White Horse about 20 years ago.
And very well they went down as well. So yeah, no, fantastic to get, as you say, that result, and really good sort of vibe, I suppose, moving forward into Tuesday night as well.
Yeah, well, everything was looking good, wasn't it? 3 games against tough teams, Oxford, Peterborough and MK Dons, 9 points, 3 home games in the league to come. Everything was looking good. And then Cambridge, to be frank, out Wycombe's Wycombe on the Tuesday night. And Wycombe made 3 defensive lapses. Cambridge punished them on every single time. Yes, there was a couple of refereeing decisions that went against them, but I agree with Gareth on this one. If you let the team in 3 times, your opposition in 3 times, you let 3 goals in, you make it very, very difficult no matter where you're playing. So I think, you have to point the finger of blame at the team for this one rather than the officials.
Were there any positives to take from the home science display? Yeah,
I thought for half an hour in the first half they played fantastically. Probably some of the best stuff they've played this season. They scored a perfectly good goal, which Sam Vokes headed in, which the referee gave as a foul. Although I just said I don't want to harp on about refereeing decisions. I think that was a poor decision, and had that gone in, you never know on the impact of the game. There was a penalty shout the referee didn't give. But then he didn't give it as a yellow card for diving for Anis either, and it's either one or the other in that situation. And then Cambridge went up the other end and scored straight away. Had he stopped the play and not given a penalty and booked Anis, they don't score that goal maybe. But it was still a defensive error that opened the door for them. It was a great finish by the lad as well. But yeah, I think the positives were that first half performance. The negative for me was the second half. It looked like the frustration got into their heads a bit, and they let that get the better of them because Cambridge, they switched off again. Cambridge got a 3rd goal, and albeit the consolation late on from Lewis Wing, it came too little too late. But yeah, I think they'll look at what they did in the first half. They played some of the best stuff I've seen this season, and if they can do that for the majority of the game against Morecambe and also Port Vale, they should be fine. Gareth was frustrated after the game, but as I've just mentioned, I think he wanted to focus on where his team could do better.
You can't defend like that and expect to win games, no matter how good we are going forward, and we were good tonight going forward, really good. The moments that counted, we didn't defend well enough, and to be 3-0 to be 3 goals against at home gives you a mountains climb, absolute mountains climb. So really disappointed with the moments that counted. I said on Saturday in the press, it's about the moments of transition. Yeah, we should have had a penalty. It's an absolute stonewaller. How we haven't got it, I don't know. And how he's not booked Anis for diving then, I think he's bottled the decision here. But then we've got to defend that next stage of play. You can't just go, oh, we should have had a penalty, give up. We've got to defend the next bit. And that was frustrating, And then the corner, 3 man, 2 yards out of the back stick. It's poor defending, and we've got to make sure that we're better at that as well, because we give ourselves a mountains climb, and we were very good going forward, very good. Hit the post, we got a penalty. I think we've had some real clear-cut chances where probably should do better as well. But 2 goals at home, you expect to win games, and I'm disappointed. I'm gutted for the boys because I didn't see that coming. That performance defensively, because we've been so good for the last 3 games, solid, built up barriers, look really solid, and so that's disappointing for me. But listen, it's not the defenders or Max, it's the 11 that are on the pitch at the time, because we win and lose as a team here. 1 goal's a set piece where everyone's in the box, 1 goal's where we're herring back, and one's from a throw-in, and we just got to be better with that, because we give ourselves a mountain to climb.
It's been a consistent back 3 for this run as well. We've lost Chris Farino due to illness. Is that another spanner in the works?
Oh, of course, I think Chris has been outstanding lately, but Jack Grimmer has put himself forward. He's carrying a knock, but he said, "Yep, I'll do a job for you," and I want to thank Jack for going through the pain barrier for me. But it was hard, to change such a solid outfit from Saturday, but it happens. That's why the squad's the squad, And yeah, disappointing to lose Chris. He was ill. He hasn't been in the building for a couple of days. He's with illness. So hopefully he'll be back for weekend. But we've just got to defend better as a team. It's that simple. Tonight is about Cambridge United won because they hit our net more than we hit their net, and that's the story of the game.
A disallowed goal in the first half as well.
Yeah, from a push, and then Volksy gets pushed in the box, and the referee lets play on. It's frustrating that the consistency wasn't there tonight from the referee. Listen, I'm old enough in the tooth not to get involved with any fines or reprimands about having a go at referees. But I, for me, my personal opinion, I thought he was poor tonight.
Chance to put it right here again on Saturday against Morecambe.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is football. This is great. We've got Morecambe, Port Vale, FA Cup coming up really quickly, and there's going to be plenty of players. The squad, I managed to get 5 subs on tonight, and some good movements from some of them. But like I say, defensively as a whole unit, we can be better. We know we can. This is a great bunch of boys. I love working with them, and some of the forward play, like I say, was awesome. Set piece goal again, and we're almost clicking. Don't want everyone thinking the wheels have come off yet. Don't worry about that. We've had three wins on the spin and a defeat. We'll get back to winning ways pretty soon, I'm sure.
So yeah, I guess just the disappointing aspect of Tuesday night was the as you say, the defensive errors, and hopefully that won't continue, especially with such a run of home games coming up now. Yeah,
I think when they've let Gareth down in the past, they tend to respond well. And like I said, there was a lot of positives to focus on moving forwards with the team. And maybe Big Chris Farino comes back into what was a settled back three up to that point. I mean, Jack Grimmer didn't really do anything wrong in the game. But yeah, I think it shows you just how far someone like Chris Farino has come in a short space of time, that when he has to pull out through illness, then we really missed him. But we'll see what happens now against Morecambe. It's never easy against Morecambe. They're always big games as well. But we'll see what happens. But it's a family day as well, so it'll be well over 1,000 people who possibly wouldn't normally be there on a match day. So hopefully the Wanderers can put on a real show for those guys.
I think that's really special, isn't it? Because everyone remembers that. Imagine if you were going to a game for the first time, perhaps you're a youngster, or just going along with the whole family, and you want to remember your first game and hopefully get a win, obviously. But to make you want to keep coming back. Yeah,
the whole positive experience. I mean, everyone at the club is working very hard to make sure that the day is memorable off the pitch as it can be. We can't control what goes on the pitch, and I'm sure Gareth Ainsworth is working incredibly hard with his staff and players to make sure that if the people are there for the first time, they have a great experience watching the game and enjoy going. I mean, I remember my first game at Lokes Park like it was yesterday, and it was a fantastic experience. And you get the bug, and you keep coming back. And here I am, however many years later. Let's not fill all blank in there. I'm still coming back.
I think that's something really nice as well, especially if you're a youngster and you get to, be quite close to the players, or see them afterwards and get to have your picture taken or get them to sign something. That really sort of adds to the experience, doesn't it? Yeah,
well, football's massive now, and if you go out to Tottenham or Arsenal or Chelsea or wherever, you don't get the chance to do that. The bus comes in with the blacked out windows, they drive under the stadium, and then the first time you see the players is when they walk out on the pitch. At Wycombe, if you get there early enough, you can hang around by the players' entrance. They'll stop and have photos with you, ask how you are, etc. like that. And for young kids, that's fantastic. And it's a real cornerstone of what Wycombe's about.
And it seems to be a really nice time to sort of, if you hadn't followed them before, to really kind of get on board, if you like, because they're on such a sort of charge up the table, if you like, and quite exciting time to see if they can make the top echelons of the league.
Yeah, I think it's a tight league. They need to start putting a run of results together now. They kind of started doing that. I think it's really important how they bounce back in these next 2 home games. Then the FA Cup going to come, and then there's a couple of localish away games which they'll look at and be targeting maximum points as well. If they can get through this next period of games with a decent amount of wins in there, then I think they should be just outside the playoffs. And then from there, let's see where we go.
And another event which is happening this week, which was brilliant to attend and also to see come to fruition, was Adebayo Akinfenwa, of course, back in the area for his screening.
Yeah, brilliant to see Bayo back in the town and back in the town centre in the Wycombe Swan. Brilliant to see the town coming together to celebrate one of its favourite ever players, Wycombe's EFL era top goal scorer as well, nonetheless. And just great, really, to catch up with Bayo and see what life is like after football at the age of 40. He seems to be really enjoying himself, as does everyone else, which is brilliant. The documentary is fantastic. I think it's very inspirational for everybody. And even if you don't like football, I think there's lots in it for everyone there to kind of take a real lesson from life from Bayo. And Wycombe Wanderers come out of it brilliantly as well.
And great to see how much he means to the town and how much the town and area and people mean to him.
Absolutely. The queue of people to meet him after the screening, the first screening especially, was excellent. A lot of young kids getting their shirts signed, etc. There's been a load of FIFA going on in the town hall as well, and obviously that's close to Bayo's heart because that's been one of the big vehicles to propel him to worldwide fame. And yeah, it shows you how much he means to these fans as well, that he turns up and takes part in all that as well. Although Gareth McCleary reckons that Bayo's not that great at FIFA, but I've not asked that question yet.
Pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Always a pleasure, Colin.
Brilliant chatting to Phil. You can hear more from him on next week's show, of course, but also he'll be bringing you live commentary from the game against Morecambe on Saturday afternoon as well on Wanderers TV and here on Wycombe Sound on 106.6 FM. Or on Wanderers TV, of course, you can also hear in full that chat with manager Gareth Ainsworth. Also catch up with Nick Freeman as well after his goal in this sort of window of games, if you like, as well. After Tuesday's game against Cambridge United at Adams Park. Had to think there. You'll recall that if you were listening to it live, then Danny Sender was providing the co-commentary and was summarising for us after the full-time whistle as well.
Wycombe didn't start the game too well, going 1-0 down, but found a way to get back into the game, and it looked like Wycombe were going to go on and be the stronger side throughout the game. Again, caught with a suck-it punch through Ironside, who was a threat throughout. It linked play well for them, meaning Cambridge could go into the second into half-time 2-1 up, which I think knocked the wind out of Wycombe. Not only the goal, but the disallowed goal, the penalty opportunity from Amete. And unfortunately, coming out in the second half, they were unable to really build any momentum into the second half. And, Cambridge again were able to hit Wycombe with a sucker punch to make it 3-1. And then we just really couldn't get a foothold in the game. Great to get the goal at the end to put a little bit of a reflection on the scoreline, but yeah, sadly not a good night for Wycombe.
Sam Bucks comes round to applaud the home sections of the fans here at Adams Park, and will Wycombe now have to try and they've got some days now to come to terms with that frustration of that first half, and another home game on Saturday, Dan, the perfect opportunity to put this one right.
Yeah, they have to get past this. They've been on a great run, and I think what they've got to do is recognise that. They've also got to recognise there was some really good moments throughout the game where they put Cambridge under some real pressure, and they've got to take those key moments, and they've got to take that into Monday.
Danny Sender summarising for us here at Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV, of course, with Phil. That was live from Tuesday night after the full-time whistle against Cambridge United. Morecambe to come, as mentioned, on Saturday. It's a family fun day. We'll bring you more details of what's on offer and in store there as well, including the cast members of Cinderella. Cinderella herself maybe doing something on the pitch with Bodger.
Oh, no, she won't.
Thank you very much. Add your own punchline there. More on the Wycombe Wanderers Show to come in a few moments' time.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth. We'll look back at Wycombe Wanderers Women's FA Cup action and look ahead to who they have next, as well as previewing the reserves and under-18 side as well. But first, with a big thank you to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. As always, we're very fortunate to catch up with former players, but also managers. Paul Bence, who was someone who was in charge in the 80s, and we've been catching up with him to find out not only how he arrived at the club, but a bit before that as well.
I started at Brighton and Hove Albion down in Sussex, where I came from. I then signed for Reading in 1968, made my debut for them in 1969, and then transferred to Brentford in 1970 and spent 7 years there. But during my time as a footballer, I was very interested in the coaching side of football, and I was one of the youngest people ever to take their prelim coaching badge. I was only 17. I was an apprentice professional at Brighton and Hove Albion, And 3 of us went from the club. One was a left-back, Scottish left-back called Bobby Baxter, and the other one was a right-winger called Howard Wilkinson. And Howard Wilkinson went on to manage Leeds United to win the first year of the Premiership, and he also managed England. So it's a nice memory for me to have that I got my prelim badge with those same 2 guys. And then I went on to get my full badge when I was 22. Went up to Lilleshall. In those days we used to have to go, and got my full badge at 22. From then on was always involved in coaching in one way or another, either in prelim badges. I used to conduct the courses, and a lot of the courses were held at Bisham Abbey because I lived in Reading, Woking and Berkshire area in those days. A lot of the courses were at Bisham Abbey, so that's when I first got to meet Brian Lee. And Brian Lee was the chairman of Wycombe Wanderers in June 1984 and invited me to come for an interview for the vacant manager's job of Wycombe Wanderers Football Club.
So how did you find the transition from playing to coaching? Because I guess as well, it must be quite a sort of a strange kind of switch in a way.
Well, all the time I was a footballer, I'd coached. I'd coached at non-league clubs. Not Sunday league clubs, but, a fairly basic level of football. And I'd always enjoyed the coaching side of the game. So I sort of enjoyed meeting lots of different people of different abilities. And it was really nice to see the development of some people that you coach, because I coached in schools. I coached I was youth team manager at Queen's Park Rangers. I coached at Farnborough Town. I coached at Woking Town. I just enjoyed that side of the game.
So what was the sort of the club like? How did you find it when you arrived?
Well, Wycombe Wanderers was an elitist club, I would have said, in the Isthmian League in those days. Very, very different to what it is now. Super fantastic job they've done over the last 30 or 40 years. We had a ground called Lokes Park. It had the famous slope on it, which made life quite difficult when you're trying to cross the ball. It either was along the ground or over everybody's head. But they were good days, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had some lovely players. I took over from a chap called Mike Keane, who was a well-respected ex-Queen's Park Rangers professional who had a sports shop in Wycombe. So it was big shoes to fill. But I was fortunate that I had a really good assistant in Alan Gain, and we managed to have a bit of success in our first season there, getting promoted and winning the League Cup. So, yeah, Wycombe was... I'm slightly lost for words to say how good they were held in esteem by the rest of the amateur non-league football world because of the past history of when Brian Lee was the manager and took them to different places like Middlesbrough and won different competitions throughout his career as the manager. So it was a bit daunting to go there as the new manager, but we did okay.
And did you find, even because I remember my early days of going to watch Wycombe myself, even just the ground itself seemed to have its own character, didn't it, with the sort of the stands and as you say, the sloping pitch?
Yeah, and I think at that level of football, it was one of the better grounds aesthetically to, when the player ran out there, he knew he was at a stadium, whereas some of the grounds in the old Isthmian League were, not quite park pitches, but, a bit of railing around the touch lines and that sort of thing. And so it wasn't, but when players came to Wycombe, they knew they were in for a game.
And you must have had such a sense of pride as to what you managed to achieve during your time in charge.
Yeah, we did okay. The following season, after getting promotion and winning the Cup, we got to the third round of the FA Cup. And I'm not sure, but I think I was only the third manager in the history of the club to get the team to the third round of the FA Cup. I know Brian Lee did it with the Middlesbrough game, and I can't remember the other time, but yeah, we got to the third round of the FA Cup, but unfortunately that coincided with me being promoted in my full-time job, because all the time I was at Wycombe Wanderers, it was a part-time job. It wasn't a full-time employment like it would be now. In those days, we were all part-time. Even the players, everybody was part-time. So I got promoted with my full-time job. When I came out of professional football, I got a job as a salesman for a brewery, of all things. So I had to spend most of my day drinking beer, which was terrible, as you can imagine.
You seem to have got through it.
No, not really. But I got promoted. So instead of being a salesman on the road, where I could, if you want to use an overused expression, I could duck and dive a little bit. And if I wanted to go off and watch a combination game on an afternoon, I could. Whereas I got promoted to be the sales director, and I couldn't, therefore, I had to be in the office most days. And it was very, very difficult for me to do both jobs, the football and the full-time job. So that's when I went and saw Brian Lee and apologised and said I'm going to have to resign because I can't do both. I can't give both of them my undivided attention. So I left in the January of '86. But my last game in charge was the third round of the FA Cup, and we beat Colchester United, who were a league club, in the first or second round, I can't remember which got us to the third round. But they did the draw for some reason. I can't remember for what reason, but they did the draw at 5:30 on the Saturday evening. So we were elated. We were in the dressing room. Champagne was flowing. We were all celebrating. And then they did the draw. So we're all sat in the dressing room listening for the draw. And we were in the hat with Arsenal and Liverpool and Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur and all the top clubs. And we drew York City away, which was pretty desperate. So we went from being totally elated at getting to the third round of the FA Cup to being totally depressed because we had to go to York City. And when we went to York City, the pitch was frozen. We'd travelled the day before, didn't have the right footwear probably, most of us, so we're slipping and sliding around. On the day we lost 2-0, but we actually scored 3 goals. And I don't know whether Alan Hutchinson or one of the boys there at Wycombe will have the videotape. But apparently a couple of the goals were onside, but the linesman was a bit flag happy and gave us offside. So we were a bit unlucky in that third round tie. I mean, I had some great players. I inherited some great players. Anton Vixels, Kenny Wilson, Bobby Dale, Gary Lester. But we made some key signings. We signed Declan Link, Simon Reed, both of who scored over 20 goals in our first season. Dave Burgess from Oxford City, Kevin Collins from Staines, and then we got Mark West as an 18-year-old from West Ham. So we made some fairly important signings, and it was a very enjoyable time for me. It's just a shame it couldn't have lasted a bit longer.
That must have been great to sort of brought Mark West to the club. He's someone that we've had on the show as well, and obviously watching him when I was younger as well, and know what a great impact he had at the club as well. Yeah,
Westy's good boy. Mm.
So overall, how do you sort of look back on your time at the club?
Well, I look back on my career with a lot of fondness. Certainly the playing side of it was fantastic, but the coaching side had a bit of success. Yeah, enjoyed coaching the youngsters at schools. I used to, when I was a player at Brentford, I used to leave training after training at lunchtime and then drive down into Twickenham and teach at a school down there, probably 3 or 4 afternoons a week. And it was extra cash in those days because we weren't particularly well paid in those days as professional footballers. And I enjoyed coaching the youngsters. And I particularly enjoyed conducting the prelim badge coaching courses at Bisham Abbey, like I said earlier, where I met Brian Lee, who was the chairman of Wycombe Wanderers at the time, but he was also the managing director at Bisham Abbey. And when I took over at Wycombe, the facilities at Bisham Abbey were made available to us for training purposes. So Alan Gain and I were able to establish some good routines there that got the players ready for the games on the Saturday. So it all worked out extremely well. Like I say, it was just a shame it came to an end rather abruptly when I got promoted by the brewery to be a boss man rather than one of the lads, as it were.
It just seems so special what football can bring, isn't it? Like the sense of community, and as you say, when you're working with young players and watching their development as well.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the game. Funnily enough, when I left Wycombe Wanderers, I never went anywhere else. That was me finished with football, which I don't know. I don't know whether it was the right decision. You can look back on life and know whether you made the right decisions or the wrong decisions, but I just decided that was me with football, and I took up golf, which I'm pretty useless at these days, but thoroughly enjoyed that. So something took the place. On a Saturday afternoon, I had to have something to take the place of football, and I used to go and play golf every Saturday afternoon after that. And
I imagine you still look out for Wycombe's results.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's always Wycombe Wanderers, Brentford, Brighton and Reading. Those four teams are very close to my heart.
And what about when one of them plays each other?
Which doesn't happen very often, so I always hope for a draw.
Really good to chat to Paul Bence, a former Wycombe Wanderers manager, of course, and big thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. Of course, last week we had Alan Hutchinson, the chairman, and JDT, vice-chairman, on talking about their annual dinner, which is back on the 18th of November. Speaking of back, our notice board section returns to the show. Luke's with us, who's been providing heckles so far.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Just because I was at the Swan yesterday, I got into that mood.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We were at Wycombe Swan for we went the afternoon session, didn't we?
We did. We went for a little break-in at the Wycombe Swan, and then the evening session of watching the documentary.
Yes, the break-in refers to the fact that we were...
I just like having to leave it to you to then explain the story.
Yes, in case it comes up in court. We were directed to the Oak Room entrance.
Yes.
Which was locked.
Yeah, as well as the Town Hall entrance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had to find a side door, which we were very kindly...
thank you to Ignite for letting us in.
We were gained access because somebody recognised you.
Yes,
that worked well.
They gave me an umbrella once.
Yeah, see?
That's showbiz life, I live.
That's proper networking, that is. We'll hear in a few moments' time from the Akinfenwas, who, of course, are Adebayo, Yemi and Dele. They sound like some sort of family fortunes team, don't they?
I after seeing the family on the afternoon, I want them to go and do it because I think they'd be very funny.
Yes. And also a big congratulations to Agnieszka Marzek, who, with her son, went along, who was our winner. The answer, by the way, in case you're wondering, you might know, how many league goals Bayo scored was 52.
Very impressive.
That was the answer to our competition. Turning the attention now, though, to Wycombe Wanderers women.
Who were also there last night.
They were there in force.
Yeah.
Saw Carl Simon and a number of the other players as well. And they unfortunately exited the Women's FA Cup on Sunday at Burnham to Aylesford in the third qualifying round. But they were 4-0 down at half-time and came back to 4-3 with only a couple of minutes to go. So literally time ran out, but a fantastic battling back display. And, of course, they return to action this weekend as well.
They do indeed. Wycombe Wanderers women this weekend face Abingdon Town Women's Football Club. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff. It is away, though, this weekend. The reserve squad are in League Cup action at the Burnham Stadium, the 1878 Stadium, where they face official MK City FC. I realised that I read the Twitter name. Just Milton Keynes.
That's not part of their name.
MK City. And the under-18s who are doing very well, they are playing Notts County at Notts County.
They face at.
They don't have a Twitter account.
As all teams will now be known as.
It's going so well.
When I do the classified footballers, I'll just add at to each of the names.
Yeah.
Official.
You'll be fine in the Premiership because most of them have their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth. Luke's very tired. He's had a long day.
I've had a long day.
Long days, in fact.
Yeah.
More from him, though, throughout. Possibly. You might hear him in the background. As the Wycombe Wanderers Show continues here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show still to come. We'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth, who spoke to us earlier on today from Adams Park. He was attending a business networking event. They had an auction afterwards, which Phil was the auctioneer at. He's very good at that.
He's annoyingly good at everything, though. It's very upsetting.
And a signed Gareth Ainsworth shirt commemorating 10 years in management went for £480.
Wow. Well done to the lucky winner of that.
They did get a photograph with him as well as part of the prize.
Oh, they did have to pay for that extra.
That was free, I think.
It's an extra 50 quid.
That was done by the side of the pitch. So
nice.
that was pretty good. That's still to come as well. But first, talking of showbiz events, sort of, as mentioned, we were at Wycombe Swan yesterday for the premiere of Beast Mode On, the fantastic documentary, which is available from tomorrow.
It is.
On Amazon, and we caught up with, as I say, the Akinfenwas in the build-up to the afternoon screening. You'll hear from Yemi and Dele, who are Adebayo's brothers, in a few moments' time. But first, we wanted to gauge how the Beast was feeling.
It's surreal, and it's funny because I remember when I wrote the book, and I was saying that I kept on using the word mind-boggling when I had the book, and the physical book was in front of me, and then I thought I'd be a little bit more prepared but then when you see it on the big screen after the whole year and a half we was doing it, listen, it's surreal, it's mind-boggling, and it's humbling. I saw the beginning bit. I made sure I saw the beginning bit on the theatre screen, and it was like the statement, started at Hackney Marshes and now on a big cinema screen. So look, it's humbling right now.
And there must be so many emotions for both you and your family too.
Yeah, I'm still waiting because I think I said something about my mum in there, so I'm kind of scared. I hope she don't see it. That's the biggest thing I'm most nervous about. But no, listen, I'm here, and I've always stated that throughout my journey, I never had to go alone. So good, bad, or indifferent, that my family's always been here, and this momentous occasion, they're here with me, sort of thing. So it means so much more to be here with the family and to be able to go through this project with the family.
And I guess a huge sense of pride for yourselves as well.
Oh no, 100%. All of us are very close, and actually seeing this documentary come to life it's really kind of satisfying. And we've always said, the brothers, that there's a story in us, and I think this is something that we always felt was a good story to tell. Not only my brother's story, but also just the journey of family and how family plays such an important role in anyone's kind of development, and I think it's just really good that people are going to get to see that story.
And family is something that really comes across in it as well.
Of course, I mean, you're going to get a lot of that in this documentary. You see, I mean, it really highlights the brotherhood and dynamics between, all the different relationships that B has with every individual family member, and it really comes across on screen. So yeah, man, you're going to get a good insight to the people behind the Beast.
And the collaborations as well that you worked with, and to bring it all together, and to have so many different sort of characters, if you like, in it too.
Yeah, you know what? It's just I'll always say I wasn't a conventional footballer, a nice way to put it. And then I guess it's nice to be able to put it all in one place and see other elements. I mean, look, those that follow me on social media will kind of know, what I keep up to and how I manoeuvre in my life. But to be able to come across it, and I've always stated that I think when something finishes, it allows you to take time and just take stock and look back. And I think that's what this documentary did. It made me look back to where it kind of started, and to kind of how far we have got and to how far we still want to go. So, just to see it in one place, yeah, man, I can only come back to this saying it's humbling.
And a real sort of education, if you like, for people who obviously don't know you, but there's much to sort of learn, if you like.
Yeah, listen, you know what, and I've stated that what I want people to take away, listen, when they interact with me, I want people to feel my energy or to know that I'm authentic. And then also when they watch this documentary, the word inspire, I want people to go away feeling comfortable in who they are, comfortable in their own skin. Because listen, in society nowadays, I think a lot of people like to say what you can't do, but then I also want to see that, listen, it's not always been laughs and jokes, that there is a process, and you've got to trust in the process, and you've got to believe in yourself. So, when people watch this, I do want them to be able to take away and say, yeah, you know what, nah man, I'm good, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I just want to be the best version of myself.
And when you're putting it together, does it feel like you're sort of kind of split into sort of, there's you the footballer, you the person, you the family man? No,
because for me, I am it all. You know what I'm saying? I'm the individual, so strip everything away. And this is why I come back to saying the authenticity of me as an individual. Strip everything away, I'm going to be who I am. Doesn't matter, if I've got or if I haven't got. Football is something I did. I was blessed. I played it for 22 years. There was ups and downs. You'll see, I stated on it, like, I wanted to finish my career, with a fairy tale ending. But then take away, it didn't end in a fairy tale, but then you take the positives in the sense where my last game was at Wembley. So for me, when they take the whole documentary and as a whole, I want people to walk away feeling like, look, you know what, I am very much comfortable in my own skin.
And it's a film that has such a wide appeal. People will meet you from all ages, from really young kids up to elderly people, and obviously people who want to be footballers themselves.
Yeah, listen, because I feel like everybody's got a story to tell, and everybody's got trials and tribulations, and it doesn't matter what walk of life, be it parents, nurses, athletes, teachers. We've all got a story to tell, and this story is no different. I'm very honest out there, and I say, look, I went through trials and tribulations. I said there was setbacks, but then at the same time, it's that resilience that sometimes you have to be able to first and foremost believe in you as the individual. And listen, I state a 40-year-old Akinfenwa talks differently from a 21-year-old Akinfenwa, of course, but that's what I feel like I want people to take away from this, and hopefully it relates, to the youngest of the FIFA players and to the oldest of the individuals. I hope they take out and can relate in one aspect or another.
As you say, really inspirational for kind of your journey. It sounds kind of a cliche, doesn't it? But fantastic that, Gareth, there was a social media clip this morning, wasn't there, saying you're missed as a father figure, and that must give you a great sense of pride that you're able to have that influence on the team.
I took the oldness out of that comment. I ain't going to lie to you. No, but yeah, you know what the thing is, and look, I always say, for me, the testament of you as an individual or how you've left your mark is how people talk about you. Or like he said, and I saw it, it was sometimes you don't know what you've got until it goes. And it's the same in reverse. I can't replicate that bond, that changing room. Listen, at the moment, I don't miss the game, I don't miss the pounding. Well, my knee doesn't miss that anyway, but I miss the changing room. Listen, I miss the togetherness. I miss getting up and knowing the role I played. And that's what I had to learn as an individual. And I think people have to adapt in life. I wasn't playing as many minutes, but I knew my role was, to be there. I'd been there and I'd done it. So certain emotions to be able to handle. So listen, it's likewise. If they miss me, trust me, I miss them too.
I was going to say, what's the process been like to sort of stop? Has it been quite easy or?
Yeah, listen, I've been busy. I stated this. I didn't think I'd be as busy as what I am. But anybody that knows me, I struggle standing still anyway. To be fair, I just set myself up. People say I stand still on a pitch, but that wasn't true. I did move eventually, especially in the box. But listen, I struggle standing still. I say struggle standing still, but I do like to be active. I like to keep on the move. So I have been busy. So the transition at the moment's been, it's been, I'd say, seamless, but I've enjoyed it. I'm a creature of habit. I still work out. I still do the bike. But I'll always say, and I come back, that football was something I did. I think the problem is when your identity is in something. So I know people would perceive me as, Akinfenwa the footballer, but I'll always see me as Akinfenwa who played football.
And just finally, what do you hope people take away from the documentary?
You know what? I honestly hope people take away that, it's okay to be unapologetically yourself. That in this society nowadays, people focus on what you can't do. But I do hope that when they do watch it, they kind of believe that, if you believe it, you can achieve it and anything's possible.
It was a privilege to have the opportunity to speak to Bayo and his brothers, and also to see the screening as well. VIP screening we went to.
I know, I've been saving this story. I didn't mention it on drive time. I have mentioned it to other people. Not on air, but many players and former members of Wycombe Wanderers were there, including, and this is very weird to say, and we all said it yesterday and felt very weird, former player and coach Matt Bloomfield, who was also there, who sort of came into the theatre at the same time as us. And he said, I don't think I'm a VIP ticket. I've just got to go and sit over here. And we're like, Matt, if me and Colin are VIP, then you are definitely VIP. Please come with us.
I don't think we were VIP, really.
No, we were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were.
But what did you think, obviously, of the documentary?
It was very interesting in a fact of I didn't really know much of Bayo's childhood and stuff like that, obviously, but like his early bits of football.
Going to Lithuania as well.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. I didn't know much about that, so that was really interesting to hear more in depth about that. And I think it was really interesting to see more of the family side of Bayo and his routine, which I think if everyone probably follows Bayo on some sort of social media, you see the stuff that he's doing every day, but you don't realise how early that routine starts and what he goes through, and also what he went through at the end of his career with his knee really hurting him, and the injections that he had to do like before training and before a game, and which then sort of you understand why he kind of had to give up football at the end of last season. It feels like it was long ago, but yeah, last season. And it's just interesting to see what he's going to be doing next. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours of what he's going to be doing. But yeah, it was a really, really good documentary, and yeah, it's out tomorrow, and I highly recommend it.
Great to see some of the footage as well at Adams Park, of course, on that final game of his.
There's a very nice moment at the end as well.
Yes, yeah, don't miss that.
No.
And also, there's really nice stories about how his family sort of help him with when there's rejection, because obviously he's been to a lot of clubs and faced injury issues as well, and got turned down by a number of managers as well. But there's a real sense as well as to what's to come in the future for him as well. You get to see his agent speaking about some of the many opportunities that are there. And after the afternoon screening as well, we caught up with a number of people who'd seen it and to get their thoughts.
It was good and inspirational.
What was your favourite bit?
The clips where it showed about football.
Very interesting. It's good to see the influence that he had on our team, but on those two in particular, Bloomfield and Gareth, and the positive bits and pieces that Gareth and Bloomfield were putting into him, and the rest of the team as well.
I thought it was really interesting. It was a great insight into a really inspirational person, or a great guy.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the positivity that comes through. It is inspiring, yeah. And all the way through from 2020, I had cancer, and so I read Neil Harmon's book, and just the kind of like the inspiration got me through my chemo, and just sort of all the positivity, sort of like of just like how you deal with your mental attitude is definitely sort of like led me forwards, and yeah, it's time to start again.
What was your favourite bit?
When they were flying in the helicopter.
The helicopter was
my favourite bit as well.
It's brilliant to see anybody flying in a helicopter.
Well, there's nice aerial views of Adams Park.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that child had never seen Wycombe Wanderers from that high up.
No, exactly. Yeah. Just watch it for that if you get the chance.
Watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Just look out for the helicopter. No, really fantastic to gauge people's thoughts, and yeah, as we mentioned, thoroughly recommend seeing it. It's out tomorrow. Yeah,
and the question and answer session that we saw afterwards was really interesting to just see the dynamic. Obviously, we saw the dynamic with the brothers on the documentary, but to actually see that in person as well was really good.
Yes. Something else which happened a little earlier on today was at Adams Park. There was a business networking lunch. Ooh. I know. Wasn't expecting that to have its own sound effect. Where Gareth addressed the business community of the area as well, and really talked well about how what he does at the football club can be replicated in business as well. Took a number of questions, talking about how he deals with certain characters in the team as well, and we spoke to him a bit about that afterwards.
Yeah, brilliant event. Phil Alexander and Matt, Phil Catchpole, they've all come together to put a great business networking event on, which I was lucky enough to be able to speak at and sort of give some of my management techniques and values to these fantastic businesses that come and support us and want to get involved with the Wycombe and just are interested in how we do things here as well. So hopefully that, like me, people have took things away from today, but really pleased with how today's gone. It's been a tough couple of days after the defeat against Cambridge the other night, which I thought we were superb in, really performed well. But things like this are great, they put things in perspective, and we're back at the training ground this afternoon trying to pick the bones out of the Morecambe team and see how we can hurt them, and yeah, it's really nice to see that there's so many great people supporting the club.
And fascinating as well how, obviously people who are football fans and in business to be, keen to hear what you say, but obviously other businesses can sort of apply what you're telling them as well.
Yeah, I think as managers and leaders and people, it's nice to get verification that what you do is good, and I'm sure everyone's doing a lot of the similar stuff to us, but little snippets here and there that we can add to our armoury as these managers is great, So I'm hoping that it's been a beneficial, mutual sort of gain out today, and I'm looking forward now to getting the boys ready today, tomorrow for Morecambe on Saturday, because when I get back to winning ways, the boys have been doing really well lately, and the performance of the night warranted a win. There's a few factors that didn't get that, and we're going to work on those in the next couple of days, and I said more of the same, please guys, because they were sensational going forward. Just one or two uncharacteristic mistakes at times, but again, we pride ourselves in learning from those and putting it right for this weekend.
In sort of days that you have to prepare for the next game, do you sort of work on, so if there are defensive errors in a game, do you sort of work on that specifically, or do you just literally just tell them and think, oh, they realise that, then that'll be better next time?
Yeah, it's all learning, you know, and everyone makes a mistake, and you've got to make sure that doesn't become a commonplace, and it's just you know, a couple of decisions went against us at the wrong times. I thought, you know, referee for me didn't go our way, and that's as much as I'll say on that, but it was tough to swallow after such a great possession based attacking performance. You know, I know possession doesn't win you games, but when we do control the whole game like we did on Tuesday night, it would be nice to get the rewards. You know, I thought the goal with Volksy scoring disallowed was inconsistent to other challenges during the game. Penalty was a stonewaller for me, and unfortunately we didn't get either of them, and that would have been a totally different game. But no, we go again on Saturday. Really looking forward to Morecambe coming down, because it's a Saturday, it's a family day at Wycombe. Hopefully get a few fans in here and show them what we're all about.
So what would you say to supporters who perhaps not been to Adams Park before, and this could be their first visit?
Oh, get down and see what all the noise is down the road, because you know, this team is the team to be proud of at Wycombe. You know, we're competing in what is a great League One this season. You know, the next step is the Championship, which is always a phenomenal step to make. But we're really looking forward to welcoming as many people as we can down here. You know, I want to see more Wycombe shirts in the town. I want to see kids supporting their local team. It's very easy to go and support a Premier League team, which you don't really have a connection to. Come down and connect to these boys, because they'll sign your autographs, they'll high five you. They'll get you involved on the pitch even, you know, at times, because we need the fans. It's such a tight-knit ground and a brilliant family club that we need our fans, and we want you down here getting behind us.
And you've got a run of home games now, of course, as well. You'll be looking to make home advantage count.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't always work like that. I remember back in the day I used to be better away from home, but we certainly have made this place a fortress over the years, and you know, the last couple of seasons have been great at home. As I say, the other night, I'm not going to be result focused. It was a great performance, and if we can keep performing like that at home and away, then we'll win a lot more games than we lose, and that'll put us in great stead. We could have gone 7th the other night, which is crazy after the start we've had, and I think we could probably get 7th if all results go for us on Saturday, but we've got to do our job first, and that's pitching against the Morecambe team that's been very competitive over the 2 seasons they've been in this league.
And just finally, something else that really comes across the questions you were asked a short while ago is like the relationships in teams, and that was something which really came across in Bayo's documentary last night. Yeah,
fantastic night, you know, and I was really proud to be invited to that and play a small part in it as well at the end there, you know, with trying to get across the true character of Akinfenwa and what he meant to Wycombe and what he did for us, and I think that I think we should embrace that and be proud of that. So anyone who gets the chance, I'd definitely give it a watch on Amazon. You know, it's a real sort of pro Wycombe film, and talks about the values we've got here, as well as a fantastic footballing career from a humble guy who you know, learned his trade in sort of cages of South London and made it to you know, sort of worldwide stardom of the strongest footballer in the league. He's a great guy, and last night it was great to see so many ex-players coming down and seeing a good turnout for Bayo, and I'm sure he'll be rooting for his Saturday as well. So hopefully we can get the right result and can end what's been a great week.
Great chat to the manager. Of course, it's a family fun day on Saturday.
Yeah, lots going on. Cinderella's going to be there with her carriage. I believe there may be some on the pitch flirting between Bodger and Cinderella. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work.
That could have blossomed into something beautiful by Christmas.
Yeah, but don't worry, I will be filming it. And lots more going on as well, including the return of the fireworks as well, which I'm very excited about, although I won't see them.
Because you'll be facing the other way.
Yeah, I'll be on the wrong side.
Lots to look forward to. You've got full match commentary, of course, on Wanderers TV and here on Wycombe Sound 106.6 on Saturday, and the build-up starts from midday in the car park.
It does. Looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Have a fantastic week. Many thanks indeed for listening, and up the wick, as I say.
Come on, you Blues.
Have a great game on Saturday.